Imagine your spaceship isn't blasting through space with fiery jets, but instead gliding almost silently forward, powered by a stream of ionized particles. Efficient, enduring, and perfect for the long journeys to Mars or asteroids. Among others, the Chinese space station Tiangong in low Earth orbit is making use of exactly this technology and maintains its orbit with electric thrusters. That's exactly what electric propulsion makes possible. Ion thrusters, Hall effect thrusters, and nuclear electric propulsion. Today, we're diving deep with principles, physics, and real-life examples that show why these technologies are the future of space travel. And check this out, the creator Integra, whom I personally really admire, built an ion thruster like this at home. We'll show you how and recreate some parts to demonstrate how easy it is to do this with 3D printing. My name is Serwin and this is Mars Chronicles. Let's take off. Let's start with the ion engines, the pioneers among electric propulsion systems. The principle is ingeniously simple. Xenon, krypton, or indium gas is ionized, meaning electrons are shot out and then accelerated by an electrostatic field. This is not a chemical reaction or combustion like we know from conventional propulsion systems, but rather ionization. More on that in a moment. In the case of xenon, the xenon becomes xenon plus an electron, E minus. Ionizing means removing or adding electrons to a neutral atom or molecule so that it becomes an electrically charged ion. Positive meaning cation when electrons are removed, or negative meaning anion when electrons are added. In physics and chemistry, this happens by adding energy, for example through heat, radiation, or electric fields. In an ion thruster, like those used in space travel, for example, xenon gas is bombarded with high voltage, which rips electrons from the atoms, creating the reactions. These ions can then be accelerated electrostatically to generate thrust, while the free electrons are later neutralized to balance the system. Otherwise, the entire system would eventually become uncontrollable. You probably know this when you've been sitting on a fluffy couch and then shake someone's hand. The ions shoot out at up to 50 kilometers per second with a specific impulse of 2000 to 5000 seconds. The YouTuber Integra built such an ion engine at home and demonstrates how these engines actually generate thrust. A part of this engine has been built from the ion engine by Atom. More on that later. For comparison, chemical rockets have specific impulse values of up to about 450 seconds. That's a quantum leap in efficiency, even though the thrust is very low, often only millinewtons. One of the most important manufacturers of ion engines is the Austrian company Propulsion, which was founded as a spin-off from the research company Fotec. Here you can see their design. Integra has designed its ion engine in a very similar way. These are the three parts that I printed with my core one from Prusa, which can be used to build such a thruster. Now I just have to figure out where to get the other components. While many ion thrusters are used for small satellites in low Earth orbit, they can certainly also be used for larger vehicles and even for space stations, as the Chinese space station demonstrates. There are other examples as well. Take NASA's Deep Space One from 1998 to 2001, the first spacecraft with an ion engine as its main propulsion system, the so-called NESTA engine with 2,300 hours of operation. It flew to the asteroid Braille using only 73 kilograms of xenon for 4.3 kilometers per second. Delta V, or Japan's Hayabusa, between 2003 and 2010. The Mu-10 ion engine with a specific impulse of 3000 seconds brought back samples from the asteroid Itokawa despite malfunctions. And Dawn's mission between 2007 and 2018 only worked thanks to the three NASA's evolutionary Xenon thruster engines with around 51,000 hours of operation. That's 2,125 days or 5 years and 10 months. The probe visited Vesta and Ceres with only 425 kilograms of xenon for 11 kilometers per second. Delta V. It's hard to grasp that something almost invisible makes such missions possible, racing across our solar system. That's why I find Intex's illustration so impressive. His homemade ion thruster with 3D printed parts generates ionized wind that blows out candles or powers a small boat. Look at how this ionized wind glows blue. But enough marveling. Next stop, Hall effect thrusters. These are more efficient and more robust. Here, a magnetic field crosses the current to accelerate ions. That's the Hall effect. By the way, the effect is named after its discoverer, the American physicist Edwin Hall. Xenon is ionized, electrons are captured, and ions are shot out. Here we're talking about specific impulse values between 1,500 and 3,000 seconds, so it's a bit less efficient, but the thrust is higher. But nothing groundbreaking either. Here, millinewtons up to single-digit newtons are achieved. The advantage here is that there's less wear and tear because no grids are necessary. We'll get back to that in a moment. There are plenty of examples of Hall effect drives, and they show how versatile this technology is. From small satellites to large missions, take European Space Agency's Smart One, which was in operation from 23 to 26. Its PPS 1350 engine brought the probe to the moon, ran for 1650 hours, and used only 82 kg of xenon for a delta V of 3.9 kilometers per second. That was a milestone that proved Hall thrusters are suitable for interplanetary flights. Or take a look at NASA's Psyche mission, which has been on its way to the asteroid Psyche since 2023. Here, stationary plasma thruster 140 engines with a specific impulse of 2000 seconds enabled precise maneuvers. And they're robust enough for the brutal conditions of deep space. Then Starlink by SpaceX? Meanwhile, thousands of satellites are using such Hall thrusters for orbital adjustments. They keep the constellation stable and demonstrate how scalable these drives are in mass production. It's fascinating how something as compact as a Hall thruster can power entire fleets. Okay, but that sounds very similar to the ion thruster, so what's the exact difference? Well, at first glance, both systems share similarities. The basic principle is that you ionize a propellant like xenon and accelerate the ions electrically to generate thrust without chemical combustion. But the devil is in the details. With the classic ion thruster, also called a gridded ion thruster, the ions are accelerated by an electrostatic grid field, basically two charged plates, which gives a high specific impulse of 2000 to 5000 seconds, but it means very low thrust. It makes the grid susceptible to erosion since high energy ions bombard them. The Hall effect thruster, on the other hand, traps electrons in a circular magnetic field that creates a radial electric field and accelerates the ions in a spiral through an annular channel. The result is higher thrust and a slightly lower specific impulse. However, the construction is much more robust because there are no sensitive grids, which extends the lifespan. Even though plasma erosion on the walls remains an issue. Imagine the ion thruster as a precise sniper for long, efficient missions, while the Hall thruster is the reliable workhorse that offers more power for maneuvers. Both have their areas of application, and spacecraft designers have to weigh the pros and cons against each other. Finally, we come to nuclear electric propulsion, a technology that combines nuclear energy with electric engines to generate megawatts of power. In this process, nuclear fission, where uranium-235 is bombarded with neutrons and releases energy, is then converted into electricity. For example, through Stirling or Brayton cycles, which in turn power the thrusters. The specific impulse can reach up to 10,000 seconds and the thrust is scalable. Ideal for long interplanetary missions where endurance matters. But then why doesn't every mission use this technology? Well, because it's not quite fully developed yet. We still haven't found a proper solution for dissipating the heat that's generated. Because in space, we don't have an atmosphere. It could be different on the moon because there we can rely on larger amounts of water. Fortunately, it has been stored there for billions of years, waiting for us. But we haven't been completely inactive. There are indeed examples and attempts at nuclear electric propulsion that show how close we are. NASA's Prometheus project from 2023 to 2025, which was unfortunately cancelled, planned GMO missions to Jupiter with a 200 kilowatt reactor and a specific impulse of 6,000 seconds. Summary: that would have been a milestone for interplanetary exploration, but it fizzled out. Currently, DRACO is a collaboration between the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency and NASA that is testing nuclear thermal propulsion and nuclear electric propulsion hybrid systems for Mars to enable fast, efficient flights. And then she was mine. The Variable Specific Impulse Magnetoplasma Rocket by Franklin Chang Diaz. It heats plasma with nuclear power and achieves variable specific impulse, which is suitable for 39-day Mars flights. A dream for manned missions. But let's be honest, the criticism is justified. Radioactive, heavy, and with high safety risks. A nuclear power plant in space that you can't just shut down. However, there are already some approaches to solutions here, which we will address in future episodes as this technology continues to mature. Before we get to the conclusion, here's a note about our shop Planet Pioneers, where some really cool designs are waiting for you. In summary, electric propulsion is revolutionizing space travel. Ion drives for efficiency, Hall thrusters for robustness, and nuclear electric propulsion for power. From dawn to Vasimir. And in Texas, a guide to a 3D printed ion engine shows that it's not rocket science. If you enjoyed this exploration of electric propulsion, subscribe to Mars Chronicles and give it a thumbs up. A huge thank you goes out to all channel members and Patreon supporters. If you also want early access to our videos, you'll find all the information about it below in the video description. My name is Sirwan and this was Mars Chronicles. Thanks for tuning in. Peras Pera ad Astra.